Welcome to Behind the Build. I am your host, Jonathan Jacobs, and today I have with me an architect who holds a license not just here in Ontario, but somewhere else in the world as well. Someone that I've known now for 6.5 years, has a fantastic reputation in the industry. Yes, she's a sole proprietor, and her name is Limor Benmor-Mizrahi of LB Mizrahi Architect Inc. I'm going to tell you about some of our curated podcast partners. 2 companies, starting with Kaplan's Appliances, a company that's an establishment in Toronto, currently in their 3rd generation as a family-owned and operated business. I was thinking about this, about my own renovation, and when I was going through the planning phases of the reno, we were talking through what types of appliances we were going to want. So I brought my wife Wendy out with me, and we go and we meet with our rep at the showroom. And the showroom is not like your traditional, just large scale industrial space. It's a curated special space. Why? Because they've got individual zones for different manufacturers, so you can walk in and understand the different products from the different suppliers. It's a space that really, it speaks to the industry. So before you even have a client, they work with you in understanding what you're looking for. What type of experience do you want your clientele to have? Because everyone's got their own individual requirements. So when you walk in, you feel that. You feel like this is a space curated for your clientele, and it's specific to you as a designer, an architect, even as a builder. So with that in mind, I bring my wife there, we walk through, we do this amazing walkthrough, and then we get this demo where they have 2 chefs in-house, and they prepare an amazing meal. And you get an understanding of what it's like, not only just to have a meal prepared on what you're eventually going to buy, but to really make you feel special. And then when you think about this, you get your appliances, they're installed and everything's great, and you finish your new build, or you finish your renovation, and then a couple years later, let's say you need something. And it happens, right? Like sometimes there's an issue with an appliance. I don't go out there and call a 1-800 number. You call their service department and they work with you hand in hand at getting that resolved. And I've experienced this. We manage homes for some clients. We've got a client that's talking about an issue they have, and I go and I call their service department, and it's looked after. I don't, at this point, have to look after anything else. And that's what you want from a partner. If you're interested in learning more, please feel free to reach out to me. It's Jonathan, Jonathan, @waldenhomes.ca. And I will connect you with one of their specialists who will understand what you're looking for in the connectivity for your clientele and what you want them to experience from a rep. And they'll connect you with the right person. Kaplan's, they're special. And that's why we wanted them to be a partner on this podcast. Next, I want to tell you about the Doors. The Doors is our window and door supplier on a number of our projects. And when it came time to want to partner with someone for the podcast, I reached directly out to Martin and said, I'd like you to be a part of this. And the reason for that, again, in many ways similar to what I talk about with Kaplan's, is that there's a service and an ownership that they take on. When you're dealing with companies where the owners are focused on what that experience is like for the client, it matters. It makes our job as a builder for our clients a lot easier. We don't have to hold the hand quite as much because the service is so focused on that. Martin and Marta own the business. They're involved in everything from the quoting of the project initially through to installation and service. You're not being handed off at any point. And what's really amazing with them is that their product is available in multiple types, from PVC and fiberglass and vinyl to aluminum, to wood clad, to solid wood. They even do beautiful roof to wall or knee walls, and we've installed that. They do incredible curtain walls and really customized and specialized doors, exterior doors. If you're interested in learning more about this, I'm happy to introduce you to them. And also, if you're speccing for Passive House, they have Passive House windows and doors. Happy to connect you with Martin. My email address is jonathan@waldenhomes.ca. That's Jonathan @waldenhomes.ca. Now, let's go back to the podcast. Limor, thanks for coming to my house.
Thank you for having me.
In fairness,
Yeah.
I always open and I provide candor. I completely screwed up the first take of this.
That's true, you did.
And what better way to start off than with some jovial honesty? Limor, thanks for joining. So Limor and I have known each other now for a number of years. Previously, before being on your own, I knew you from when you were working at Peter Higgins' office. Mm-hmm. And Limor and I have always had a very like quaint and honest and candid relationship, where it doesn't take much to be able to just call each other and have a fun little chat. As I think most of you who have come to know me know about who I am.
Absolutely.
So I thank you for doing this. Being a sole proprietor, I know that it can sometimes be also hard to step away from your desk when you have deliverables for clients. So I appreciate you putting clients on hold for this.
Thank you.
I want to talk, obviously, always with people about early inspirations, potential mentors early in life. You know, what was it about you and what you experienced earlier in life that maybe led you down the path to becoming an architect? Did you look at like lines when you were really young and be like, oh, I could draw that line like that? What was it for you?
No, I drew Snoopy when I was young.
Snoopy?
Yeah, I was a master.
Peanuts.
Yes, absolutely. The whole gang. No, but actually my journey wasn't at all straightforward. It was more circuitous. Okay. And I think though that my initial inspiration, I wasn't supposed to even become an architect. I mean, I went into everything I studied was for medicine. Okay. Like tri-sci, and I volunteered as a candy striper when I was young. And
as a what?
Candy striper. It's a volunteer in a hospital, and we used to wear these aprons that look like candy stripes. Like you literally look like a candy cane. And it's ridiculous, but that's what I did for years and years. And all this, you know, the goal and the intent was to go into medicine. And so, you know, I pursued a Bachelor of Science or whatever, that'll come later. But my dad was really my inspiration. The Benmor.
The story of the Benmor.
Yeah.
Oh, I screwed up again.
I know. So he immigrated to Canada from Israel. And he was a builder and a businessman. And so was my mom. She's not a builder, but a woman. And they arrived to Canada, and he started to build. He built a small subdivision in like Van Horn, Don Mills area in 1968, and then went on to build single family dwellings and then commercial properties. And so like I spent really countless of weekends like on construction sites and just tagging along while he was searching for new properties and opportunities. And that was it. I guess that instilled something in me. I just always loved real estate anyway. But you know, when you think, oh, I'm going to be a doctor, you don't really go the other route, and you don't even know what that other route is. Right. I'm not going to be a builder. Yeah. And so that came much later, like in university.
So when you went to sites, like was he a stickler about it? You had to wear construction boots and a construction hat?
No. I just sit. I mean, I actually sat and probably drove even once a Bobcat. Like, no. None of that.
It was pure Israeli style.
We were talking 70s, okay? I don't think we had seatbelts. We had no seatbelts.
Listen, you go on the side, you find the nail. No big deal, okay? Gangrene, it's okay. We treat it.
Yeah, no.
Okay. I'm actually impressed at the fact that he would be able to come here and just like kick it off and start doing what he was doing back home.
That was my dad. Yeah, he passed away this past year.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, in January. It was my dad. He was quite the force. Yeah. But such a gentle force, like a gentleman.
Subjects. I'll tell you why. Because like this stuff is like this is the pure reality of what we deal with and what we harbor inside of us. It's one of the reasons why what we do and what I when we build and when you're designing, you're taking in what emotion is associated with building a family home, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a lot to that. Yeah. Look, I wear. No one can see this. I mean, if you've seen me in person, I have a massive tattoo on my left forearm and I have words on my right. And these are to commemorate my father.
Really? What does it say?
This one says "not fade away." So I'm pointing right now at my right forearm. Right. It's in the handwriting of my dad's bar mitzvah speech that he hand wrote to all of us. But these letters are taken from my father's handwriting from my oldest brother's bar mitzvah speech and from my bar mitzvah speech. From the letters of my family members' names to make up the lyric of his favorite song.
Oh my God.
That we listened to the day before he died. Okay. Sorry, not. I take that back. Not the day before he died. The day before he couldn't communicate anymore.
Mm.
So I can empathize
Yeah.
with the feeling of that loss.
Mm-hmm.
And no, you don't. You can't stop talking about that.
Yeah.
You got to talk about them forever. You got to put them on you.
Yeah. No, absolutely. No, he was amazing. Amazing.
Right. And
Best father ever.
And pivotal in leading you down the path of.
He was, but it was subliminal. Honestly, I wasn't thinking about it until much later. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it was just part of our lives. Like we just knew, he would build a house and we would move in and, we lived in beautiful homes. Like I had an indoor pool and, anybody looking inside would be like, oh, they have made, but it was all like hard work.
Yeah.
I think I painted the basement. Yeah. I remember doing that.
You want to live here? You paint the walls.
It wasn't like that, but yeah.
Okay, fair. I don't know why I'm categorizing.
I mean, it actually worked because my first apartment ever, when I first got married, it was in Israel. And I tiled the whole kitchen and floors, walls, everything by myself. Like I brought, I had the cutter and the spacers and yeah.
So when I
grouted, I did everything.
When you're picking and selecting tile on your projects, you can understand what is going
absolutely.
Into that, right?
I absolutely know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for anyone that's in trade listening to this, you have to know that if you're working on one of Limor's sites,
she knows what she's doing.
She knows what she's doing. Don't screw up those grout lines. Okay. And make sure there's a nice clean cuts on the tile.
Oh my God. That was so long ago. I can't even tell you. So long ago.
So, okay. So you progress through some stage of life past that. And did you start taking any courses when you were in junior high or high school that are related to the field that you're in now or not? Or
no, it was more, it really just, I'm telling you, it started in university. I was like full on tri-sci and, I took physics and organic chemistry and inorganic chemistry and biology and everything you could think of. My favorite course was physiology.
Okay.
And it was an incredible course. It's kind of profound how the body works.
Yeah.
Like, it really is. It's godlike.
Yeah.
And so I think at some point, it was my third year, I took an elective and it was a Michelangelo course. And that just blew my mind. Like just all the...
In third year university, you found some calling that led you down this path.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
And it really, you kind of know that you kind of feel it, all along the way, but I think third year, I took this course and I was enamored by all the buildings and the artwork and I said, I got to go see this. And sure enough, at the end of third year, I ended up taking a trip to Europe with a bunch of my friends and then a couple of my friends and then in Israel as well. And I ended up also in Rome and Florence and went to see every single building I ever studied, like the Medici, everything. And I knew all the details and I really delved into it, like as if I was an architectural student.
Okay.
And then I remember going back to Israel at the time to visit. It's around the same trip. And I was like sitting on a hill overlooking the Negev desert. And I just had this like epiphany, I don't want to be a doctor. I don't want to be a doctor and I don't want to even live in Canada. Like it was that clear. And I want to be, it was just fun when I'm just looking over and I'm just like, I don't, when you get really, you're on vacation and all of a sudden your mind starts clearing up. And it was a lot of like many years of just really working hard and, studying. Yep. And so all of a sudden your mind clears up and you're like, I don't want to be a doctor. I really don't. And I don't want to even live in Canada right now. I want to try something new. And so I decided I'm going to be an architect and I started looking into it and I had to like figure it out. So I was like, when I'm going to move to Israel now, like in the middle, I was like 21 or 22. And so I ended up moving there on my own. And I finished like an overseas program through some electives back at U of T because I was doing U of T Bachelor of Science.
Okay. And
then I signed up to a new school, the Sadna School of Architecture in Tel Aviv. It was crazy. It was a crazy move.
And so and between the two universities, you were able to transfer some level of credits or not?
No. It was like starting new.
Wow.
And I'm telling you,
so
the amount of schooling I did, it didn't even over yet.
You gave up 3 years of work to start again.
Yeah.
And how
Although
long?
I did use those credits for later on, the Pratt Institute, because I ended up getting my degree at the Pratt Institute in New York because I ended up moving there. It's like a long story.
Oh, we're going to get there.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
what I meant by circuitous. It's not easy. It's going back and forth across continents.
Okay. The progression of years is there.
Yeah. Now you're really going to understand how old I am.
Perhaps if we were to take the globe and we were to pin mark where different places that we're going, well, we might be going back and forth. That's okay.
Yeah, a lot.
We are starting a newsletter. It's called Inside the Challenge. We want you to be a part of it, either as a consumer of the information or to record the information. The concept is simple. We're going to book a 10 to 20 minute time on Zoom, and you're going to record with me and share your challenge. If you don't want to record, well, how about you consume it? You can email me to either record with me or email me to register and sign up to receive the newsletter. People are going to be talking about the challenges of operations, of sales, of constructability, how personal elements are affecting their professional life. I've already recorded a whole bunch of them from people in the industry, the owners of architecture practices and design practices and consulting practices. We really look forward to getting this out to you. Feel free to connect Jonathan, Jonathan, at waldenhomes.ca. We look forward to getting this to you. So how long was the course that you took in Tel Aviv?
So in Tel Aviv, it's a private school. It was sort of on the principles of Bauhaus. I don't know if you know that. You know, the unity of art and function and how, you know, functionality is important and how design should be accessible to all. But it's kind of all those three principles. And anyway, so I studied there for 3 years, and I was studying under my professor and mentor to this day. Her name is Riti Dunsky. She's like a Holocaust survivor. She's like a force to be reckoned with. And
how often do you speak?
A lot. And she's actually she pulled me out of the school.
Okay.
Like after 30 years, she goes, "Come work with me." And I said, okay. And I worked for her for like 3 or 4 years. In the meantime, I got married and had a kid. And I was like, okay, I got to finish my degree at some point. Like, I got to be an architect.
I like how you just kind of washed over that.
Yeah, I know, right? Met my husband, had a kid.
Also, some other life-changing things happened.
Right.
Perhaps met someone.
Yeah, my firstborn, Sean.
Had this child develop.
I know. Crazy.
Right? Okay.
So.
Shout out to Sean.
Shout out to Sean. Nice Shawnee. So I worked for her for about 3 or 4 years. And then, I was working like as if I was an architect. Like I did like a school. I did so much work. It was insane. She gave me a lot of responsibility. And at the same time I was working, her husband's a geographer and he was a master planner.
Yeah.
So was she. I mean, she studied at Sorbonne and, you know, she's old school. She did the UN embassy in Switzerland and very well-connected woman. So I worked with him at the same time and did some master planning, like major master planning. And so I had really a touch of everything. Like I did architecture, I did master plan. It was like different scales, and it was incredible experience.
And when I was talking, please don't get mad at me when you hear me say your name, but Nama.
Nama.
Nama. Okay, see.
Yeah, very good friend. Yeah.
So when I was talking to her, she was saying that in Israel, the master planning and architecture essentially come hand in hand.
They do.
And yet.
And that's what I thought when I came here, I could do that.
The rest of the world doesn't do that.
No.
And I was like, well,
I think it's changed. It might be changing now, but and it's like it's changing now where you have to do a bachelor and then you do your master's of architecture. You can do your bachelor's in anything really and go into master's. So it wasn't like that then. Okay. I mean, I did 5 years of architecture school and I was an architect. Right. After, you know, obviously exams, etc.
Okay, so, sorry. Sidetrack there.
So where was I? So I worked for her, and then my husband was in law school. He finished his law degree and he said, okay, now it's your turn. And so I said, you know what? I want to go to the Pratt Institute in New York, which was crazy because I had a little kid, but we did it. So we packed up, went, and we stayed there for about 1.5 years. And I finished my degree like one semester after another. And then we came back home to Israel. And then I became an architect there. I was registered as an Israeli architect. So that was around. And
tell me, like, are the requirements there for what you have to fulfill in terms of hours the same as what you need to fulfill here? Do you know?
No, we didn't need to do hours. Okay. Even though I had them, I had so much, but no, we didn't have to do hours. We just had some, you know, in an interview, an exam, and that was it. It wasn't really, and a portfolio. Yeah. Yeah. It was like being in studio, really. Okay. And then that was then. I don't know how it is now, actually. So then, so I worked for her for years, and you want to know how I got back here? I mean, no. What were some of the projects that you worked on? Were you working on single family res? What were you? Oh, there? On? Yeah. Oh no, I did institutional. I did huge. Yeah, I did institutional. I did a lot of synagogues and schools and campuses and. Okay. yeshivas and really big projects. Beautiful, really beautiful work. I'm very proud of the work I did there.
The smile on your face right now as you're talking about it is,
you know what? It didn't. Before this year, honestly, because I just came back. So before this year, I forgot all about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like because I've been doing single family homes in Toronto for so long, and cottages, etc. You kind of forget your whole past. Like it's a total past life. And so when I was just there, I went to see Riti, my mentor, and she reminded me. She was like, "Okay, look at this project, and look what happened here, and this is ongoing."
And when she's saying, "Look at this," like she's showing you images, or are you going to the physical places?
Like I went to the physical place after, but she did show me on the computer, and she's still working. Like she's in her 80s. It's crazy.
Of course,
she's amazing. She always said, "I'm not going to stop until my pencil drops." I know
a few people that are like that. Yeah.
I think all architects are like that. It's like we don't have any real retirement plan.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she showed me, and there are things that I did that are still ongoing because I master planned a city in the south, and it's still working. Like the community center just finished, and it's really weird to see like I designed the roads and the lots and everything. Like it's actually insane. So I forgot all about that, and because that was a whole different part of my life. Like
I feel like to be able to experience that, I feel like you need to kind of like you got to go get a bike and just go bike down the roads that you've created.
Yeah. It's not bikes, it's far, but yeah.
Pardon?
Yeah. It's a lot of hills to bike ride for me.
Perfect.
Yeah. I'm sure for you. Yeah.
Go get a single speed.
But if you go to the Dead Sea, you'll see like a lot of my projects on the hill.
Okay.
Yeah. On the way there.
Okay. So, and how long had you worked at her office for?
So I worked for her office until 2007.
Okay.
And it was kind of like I think it was time. Like I had a feeling like, okay, now you can go out on your own. And I had a job offer to be the chief architect of a large scale development from this American entrepreneur. It was in the Ella Valley, where the David and Goliath story happened. And it's called Eden Hills. And so I started working on that. It was already been worked on previously. So I just kind of continued it and worked as the chief architect and sort of oversaw stuff. And then, and at the same time, an ambassador like in Jerusalem asked if I would do his home, his residence in Jerusalem. So I did that as well. And then 2008, I think it was the recession hit. It was, and it stalled everything. Like not the house, but that project.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I was sitting with my husband and my kids were, let's try Canada, And Sean was around 15. So, he'd have to go to the army pretty soon after. And we were like, okay, if he goes to the army, you have to stay here. So we have to figure out, like, are we leaving now or are we leaving, never? And so we were like, okay, let's just try it. Let's try it, And we actually sat down and did it properly. Like I had the kids, right? Because I was like, I was being we don't have to, what, And I said, okay, everybody write pros and cons. So we all did. And there was a lot of pros for it.
Did the list match up in any way?
Not really. Like mine was more security concerns. Like at the time, Iran was really now it's happening. It's kind of really weird, but they were like really, threatening nuclear and all of that. And I was like, what am I doing? Is this like the Holocaust? Is this right before the Holocaust where like you should have left, but you didn't leave? Like that was the kind of feeling I had. And it's kind of terrible feeling. But so I really thought that was a good idea. Anyway, so we went to Canada, back to Canada. It's like going home for me. Like I'm still friends with my
home to home to home to home.
Yeah. Like my friends in high school and my friends in elementary school are still my friends.
Right.
I have this really core group of girlfriends and guy friends that are really part of my life. And so to go back there is basically like coming home again. And my parents were here and they were getting older. And I was like, this is great. This is a good decision.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for like raising my kids there because you raise kids there and they are independent, right? It's very safe. Like they walk home, they go, whatever. So it was a great decision. So I think when I got back, I was like, okay, I need to work. How do I go about this? Like I have to be an architect now here. How does that work? And that actually went pretty smoothly, the whole registration here, because I did graduate from Pratt. Mm-hmm. And I started out working for Richard Liebrecht. He was at the time a husband of a acquaintance of, like not acquaintance, it was a girlfriend of mine from from high school.
Mm-hmm.
And she introduced me to him because there's not many architects from my high school. Everybody was like doctors, lawyers, accountants. And it was like, very few. So he was the only architect that I knew of at the time. And then I worked for him for a year because he had this new project called, it was the 2010 prefab dream home for the Canadian Home Show. And he needed help. Like he was busy.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I'll help you with this. And I helped him with other projects or whatever. And then after that year was up, I decided, okay, let's move on. So I moved on to Peter Higgins, and that I stayed with him for quite a while. Yeah, until like recently.
And so throughout your, I guess your tenure of work here, it has moved away from those large scale.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Developments and communities
and type of build.
Right.
The construction was different.
And you say that because I didn't ask it at the beginning when you were talking about how your dad had been a builder over there and then come over here.
Yeah, I don't know how he did it.
Because the construction methodologies are different.
I don't know how he did it. Yeah.
Like completely different.
Yeah. Yeah. Stick frame and concrete and steel, like no correlation whatsoever. Really, it was crazy.
So I mean, what was it like? I'm trying to think of another question to ask, but like, what was
it was weird for me because at the beginning it was, metric and now feet.
Right.
I hand sketch. I'm old school. So I start everything with a hand sketch. And I do it to scale. So here I am 1 to 50, 1 to 100 in metric. And then now I'm doing it in feet. Like it was quite a challenge, but now I can do both like easily. It's a learning curve. And it was a learning curve I really delved into it though. Like I also delved into the history of Toronto, and architecture. And cause I didn't study that when I was here.
Right.
I ignored it completely. And so now here I am like really getting into details and, Richard was more modern. So it was great because it was and I did a lot of detailing for him. So it was a lot of contemporary detailing. But then I went to Peter and it was like more traditional and beautiful limestone details and front porticos and columns and just everything, surrounds and banding and all of that was a completely new thing for me. Even in Jerusalem, when I did it, it wasn't like that. Like it was just Jerusalem stone, hardcore. Yeah. That was it. And in institutional, you really don't do all those details.
Right.
But here I was doing really intricate details and I really enjoyed it. So. And
do you find you lean more towards one typology or?
It's funny. I don't, but.
I'm not trying to pigeonhole you, by the way.
No. I don't. Because somebody asked me like, oh, it looks like you do more traditional or I don't see much modern, but obviously my whole past is modern. Like I've done modern. So, and I do modern, but it really depends on the clients. Right. And there are architects that clients go to that are really just modern. Most of them are, because of it's a whole different mindset. Right. And they usually do interiors and exterior, and they usually do, you know what I mean? Because everything kind of like flows in and out. And
I'm not going to name drop your name right now.
Okay.
Not
my name?
Someone who I was talking to this morning because the person's name has been dropped too many times.
Oh, okay.
But we literally just had a conversation about the connectivity between architecture and interiors and how some practices focus on and there is no differentiation between the architecture and interior design versus others that believe solely in just the architecture and don't want to go near the interiors and see it differently.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I'm not of that school though.
Yeah.
I do think that I've done interiors and I love to do the interiors and I actually prefer it. Not only for getting the build done quickly because all the decisions are really made quickly and there's no overlap and I'm the only one. But I've also, when I design, I actually think about the interiors already. So it's already embedded in the drawings. Like every detail's already there. Like I literally designed the kitchen on plan and then, go for it. So it's, but interiors are important. And I do love working with my interior designers and colleagues. I think teams are incredibly important. Like I've never done, for instance, furniture design or, I don't pick. Like I'll help with light fixtures, but I won't choose paper and stuff like that. So
not yet.
I've offered, but no.
It's a whole other service.
That's a whole other service thing. And so that's why modern really lends more to that because there's not a lot of fluff, right? It's just clean design. And so you can actually afford to do that. And you should actually. I think a lot of architects who, say, I can't do this without doing the interiors, are rightful in that,
I mean, they know
it's right.
Yeah, they know what they like, and they know how they want to see something executed. Right?
Yeah, it's already in your mind when you're designing, so you might as well spit it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not have it somebody else do it for you.
Yeah. So tell me, like, you've been to many different places in this world.
Mm-hmm.
So when you
not enough, apparently.
Well, I mean,
no, I just had this thing with my kids, but yeah, not enough.
She's been to enough places. Don't worry. You travel to different parts of the world. You're obviously able to see, like, old world details in some of these cities in Europe and Israel and other places. Do you find ever that you're in some of those regions and you've got, like, your hand on some of the stone and you're trying to, like, visualize how you could potentially look at integrating this into an upcoming project?
Everyone. I think every architect does that.
I mean,
every single architect.
So I guess
I walk into a building and look up and look around and look at the details and look at, I mean, you saw me, I walk into your house and I just dissected every detail. So it's inherent in who we are as architects. And if you're not like that, you shouldn't be an architect, because it really is part of your life. Yeah. Right. You see the world differently. And so, like, I'll look at a wall and it's like X-ray vision. I know where the studs are, where the electrical's going, how the HVAC is running through it. Like, it's like an X-ray vision that, most people look just at a wall. So I think that every architect loves materials. We love materials. I can't not, walk by a building and not touch it. It's just not even though I know what it's going to feel like, but I want to, it's sort of like it's almost subliminal. Like you just touch it and feel the energy. It
was interesting, actually. So when I was talking with Richard Wangle, one of the things that has resonated to me about the conversation I had with him was literally talking about feeling and touching stone.
Yeah, all the time.
And how coarse it is and how perfectly imperfect it can feel. Mm-hmm. And he had said that to me just before I had gone on a trip to New York. And I remember I was walking through New York. And it's funny, I'm going to go back to, like, the Peanuts comment. Mm-hmm. The pencil. Who is oh my gosh, who draws? Who has the purple the purple pencil?
Linus. Oh my God, no, I'm
right?
stuck. Linus.
Whoever
Linus was. Oh God, all right.
Whoever it is with the pencil, the Peanuts. And so, like, I remember I was, like, walking through New York and I've got my hand, like, running along buildings. And it's like one of those cities where even if I looked a little bit crazy doing this, I fit in.
Yeah.
And the experience of something tangible that you're speccing,
right?
And the value that can add, the substance that can add to a project, and to visually enhance how light moves across a wall.
Oh, that's the major thing in my life.
Right?
Light. I love the way light bounces off walls and how it, moves during the day. It's so important. And that you try to implement that in almost every project.
Right. So yeah. So do you spend time through the course of the planning and looking at the light studies and how light's going to move across and what you're going to see through different windows?
Right. Always. Yeah.
And are clients keen on that, or do they understand it, or are you trying to give them the education?
No, they only see it after.
Right.
I think they only get it after. I just got a text actually this morning. So it was really nice.
Saying what?
Just like
without saying.
We're about to move in, and I just wanted to let you know how happy we are with everything that you've done, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And, it's really, I wait for those texts and emails and little cards, and
you hope that they come.
I really do. I really do. I need, what is my daughter said my love language is affirmation. And that's really, I need the affirmation.
It's a really, really hard industry. And in many ways, sometimes it can be thankless, right?
It's sad when it is, though.
You put a lot of effort and time into
your baby.
All of this.
Yeah, it really is. It's like giving birth. That's why I love this job. It is really, there's not a lot of jobs like what we have, that you can build something and it's there.
Where you can start with a blank piece of paper and an idea.
Yeah, it's from my brain.
Right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
To me, that's probably the coolest thing about when I entered into this industry and appreciated was that there's someone that takes an idea, and that someone is sitting across from me now. You're one of the many that do this. And you take this idea about how people want to live their life. They're not living it this way yet. how they want to live it.
Yeah. They don't even know how they're going to live in it.
Exactly. They don't even know about all of the dialogue that's about to happen to enhance
Absolutely.
what they were already thinking.
I completely agree.
And you know, as that pencil starts to fill the paper and a line turns into a wall, and then that wall turns into a roof, and then all of a sudden those windows start appearing, and you can start to understand how light's going to start to fill the space. Mm-hmm. It's a really, really special thing. I know that I'm ranting. I apologize. As we're sitting here right now, and you and I have had these conversations about it, but one of the main drives, and I've said this a few times on here, is that one of the main drives I've had in this podcast was wanting to bring forward the magnitude of what design is in this industry, because it is monumental. When you go to a restaurant, right? Like you go out for dinner, right? Do you ever, when you're booking, do you look who designed it? Yeah.
Always.
Right?
Always.
I was,
and the food probably isn't that great, but I'll go there just for the design. Really? Happened to me in New York.
Where, so what are some of your favorite places you've gone?
Oh, in Toronto?
Yeah.
There's so many. I can't even name.
Okay.
I think Daphne was one really good one. It's in the financial district.
Okay.
It's beautiful, beautiful design inside. My colleague, and I haven't gone yet. He's done in Yorkville a Chinese restaurant. Can't remember the name. Starts with an M. And I have to shout out to Mueller, Ariel Mueller.
I just saw him a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, very good designer.
Right?
Yeah, I worked with him on a couple of projects.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
And so soft.
Oh yeah. Right.
So calm, level. It's like I've been here.
I know.
I've done all of that up there. I'm just gonna
imagine him on a construction site.
Right?
It's crazy. It's like chaos, and then Ariel comes in. It's like, okay.
Rob, when I had Rob and Kelly on from AKB, Rob described Kelly, and as I would say, it's like the same thing with Ariel. As Kelly is the velvet hammer, and he's like the same thing.
Yeah.
That wall's wrong. And then just walks out of the room.
Exactly.
And then like everyone in there's just like, oh,
what just happened?
I'm so sorry. And they just you can see they realize it.
Yeah.
I was at Gusto 501 on King East, and Partisans designed it.
Yes.
And so I'm sitting there and I was like, someone designed it. Who designed it? And I'm like looking at my phone, like, Partisans.
Yep.
And the way that light moves. So anyhow, to your point about light, because I wanted to bring it back to that.
Yeah, light is huge.
You know, skylights, the windows and the packages associated with that. So are there any concepts that you've seen that you're dealing with? Because I know you still speak with people overseas. Are there any progressive things that you're hearing about from overseas that you think are going to make their way over here in any way?
Well, we all know that Japan is way eons ahead of us.
Yeah.
So actually, that's my next trip when I turn 60, which is, I'm not going to tell you how long, but
yeah, like a couple decades from now.
Yeah. And so I'm actually really, really looking forward to that trip.
To Japan.
Yeah.
Are there certain places that you really want to go?
Yeah, like that's major. That's the big one. It's funny that you're saying this because literally, I think it was like 3 months ago, we were sitting in the living room. My kids were over for Friday night or whatever, and we were just talking about, we kind of were making a list of all the countries we've been to, not cities, countries. And so the kids had written the list, and I wrote my list, and my husband wrote his list. And my kids, just so you understand, they're 30 and under. Okay, the two kids, they've been to double the amount of countries that we've ever been to. Like in the small span of their lifetime, they've been to more countries. Right. And so
Do they appreciate that?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's also like, Mom, you got to get going, right? And I'm sorry, I had, a career and two children to do with.
Currently paying for those trips.
I know. And your private school and. But anyway. So my husband then and there, we were like, we made a pact. It's like, this is it. Before we can't even walk anymore or like trek, we need to go out. We need to fly, to see more places. Yeah. So we are now, planning things like we went to Sardinia just this summer. We went. And how was that? Even Vancouver, which is not a city, it's not a country, it's a city, but I've never been to Vancouver. I decided to do that. I went to Chicago for the first time. I've been I really is making a point to go to every single place that
Boston?
Boston, my daughter just came back from a work trip. She was like, Mom, you have to go to Boston.
Oh, Boston.
And she was there. She sends me this photo of the Boston Library. And I have literally a photo of it. Like it's a picture that I bought from some photographer.
Yeah. It is
as part of an auction. And
unreal.
Yeah. And it was the exact same photo that she sent me. I was like, it's right in front of me. Yeah. So it was crazy. But yeah, so I'm going to go to Boston. I heard it's amazing.
Boston's amazing. I mean, yeah, the cool thing with a lot of these cities is like if you put on your walking shoes, you go walk, and that's part of what you just said is like you want to do it before you can still walk, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You go and you see these places, and you're blown away at how like a century ago someone was coming up with a design as detailed and intricate as what's in front of you.
I know, it's beautiful,
and it's. I'm trying to find the right word for it. If you've experienced, if you've traveled and you've seen these things, and I know a lot of people listening now have. You just think about that. Mm-hmm. If you can think of that, anyone out there can think of that word that I'm trying to find, text me. I need that word. I don't know what it is because you experience it. Like you go to New York, and you go see some of the stuff that's in New York.
Yeah, well, these are
right
historical.
Yeah. So. Projects. Okay, let's talk a little bit about that. You went out on your own. How long ago now was it that you went on your own?
So it was at the onset of the pandemic. Like, I think that happens to a lot of people. I know there's another colleague of mine who did that. So it was 2020. Yeah. 2020. And the pandemic started. The kids came back. We were empty nesters already, but my kids came back home because they were just for their own sanity. Mm-hmm. And so we would be all working. Like I had 2 kids on a dining room table, me in my office, my husband's upstairs in his office. Like it was a lot of fun actually that time because, board games every night. Together. Yeah. Literally, it was so incredible. It was like really one of the best times we've ever had. Like we would cook together. We would share memes on, Zoom meetings and like, before a Zoom meeting, I'd be like, okay, 5 minutes to my Zoom meeting, please be quiet, it was just hysterical. But I took that time to do a lot of, reflecting on like, okay, what do I want for the next, I didn't have a lot longer in my career. So 15 plus years, like what do I want? What do I want? And because we weren't doing the commute anymore, it was great. I was like, I could do this. Like, I can do Zoom meetings from my home office and, I can hire help when I need it. I'm going to do it. I don't need to do this. Like I've been thinking about it for a long time. And now it was like, you kind of clear your head again, like I did on that hill. And I said, okay, that's it. And so I went out on my own in 2020. I think in 2021, I incorporated it officially and I got my certificate of practice. I did all my ducks in order, got it all in order. Yeah. And that was it. And then it was terrifying because I was like, how am I going to get a job? Like, who's going to hire me? Yeah. But it was so much easier.
Start of the pandemic. Like,
I know.
How am I going to meet people?
Exactly. But I guess word spread. And then I started receiving calls like one after the other. It was insane. Like I got so busy so quickly. And I'm very, very grateful for that. Like it's only been 3 years and I'm over 30 projects in. Wow. So that's insane. And then they range from like huge, projects to like, additions or yeah.
And do you have a preference between like renovation or new build?
I prefer new build only because it's fresh. Renovations are actually a lot more costly to the client and they don't realize it some of the times because they start with, oh, we just want an addition, but then we want to underpin the basement. But we also want to take off the roof and do like higher ceilings. So then you're building a new house.
I mean, at that point, that's different.
And that happens all the time. Like it never, ever starts with just that.
Take off the roof. I can't say that. Yeah, that doesn't happen all the time. Come on. All the time?
Because not all the time, but the roof in the older homes are flatter.
Yeah.
And, they've got like just about an 8-foot ceiling in their bedroom. And so they don't want that. And they want to, punch it up and they want to, anyway, so I really do prefer new homes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. We'll do cost analysis on value of either renovating or building new for someone. Mm-hmm. And depending on whether or not they're going to want to go and take off the roof.
Right.
I actually told someone recently that was looking at doing that. We're like, yeah, we want higher ceilings. We're going to take the roof off. And I was like, well, then you might as well tear the house down.
Yeah. No, I've done actually a lot of nice renovations where we didn't even have to go in for permit. That they said, I don't want to go for, not permit, sorry. We didn't have to go to committee of adjustment.
Yeah.
So I've done that. And it came out beautifully, like there, and everybody's happy.
Yeah.
And on budget, which is very important.
I mean, budget.
Budget's important nowadays.
Budget's important.
Everything after the pandemic is now insane. So.
What's also interesting about the business in generality is that, and just on the topic of budget, I actually don't very often go to this topic.
Right.
At all.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is generally a point of contention with a lot of people.
Right.
Who owns the budget? The builder. The builder is responsible for the budget. We're a builder. We're responsible for the budget. Why are we over budget? Blah, 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 blah. Right? Why? Your job as an architect, pull ideas out of a client, put it on paper, create a design that's meaningful and impactful for them. And the client will generally steer the ship in that direction and then get upset that things cost more money.
Mm-hmm.
Agree or disagree?
Yeah. I mean, I'm involved usually with making sure that their budget is on point. Like if they're going to go overboard, I'll let them know. Yeah, well, that's why I like to do also the interiors, because I can tell them like, look, we're not doing marble everywhere. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So I'm really, helpful in that respect.
Right.
And I'm sort of like the mediator usually. And if they allow me to be, right?
Right.
Because sometimes the builders just take the drawings and they're not used to people like me as architects. They're used to getting the drawings and never speak to me again.
The GC.
Yeah, which is it was terrible because I have to be on site when it's during the build. I need to see what's going on.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many times it happens when they didn't call me and they made their own decisions and they were bad decisions. Like, what were you thinking? Why didn't you call me?
Right. Okay.
And I would call, actually. I would call all the time. I would say, do you need this? Do you need this? Do you need me to come? What's happening? I constantly, like a beggar, ask for updates. And that's not all builders, but there were certain builders that are like that.
So then you're on your side of this, there are different types of builders.
Yeah, very.
So what are the different types of builders that you experience? So
there's the ones that think they know it all.
Yeah.
And never even call you. Never, they get the permit and it's very rare that they call you to ask you a question because really they have all the drawings. They really don't need a lot of help, but there are issues that are on site. Always, even if it's a new build.
Every single project.
Yeah. You know that. So it's, as much as you try, you're not going to, be able to give them every single thing that they want at the onset. Yeah. And so those are the builders. But they are, I've done this for 20 years. I love hearing that. I've done this for 30 years. I know what I'm doing. I don't really need to call you. Yeah. Fine.
When's the last time you did a doctor's checkup? Oh, I went 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
And the funny thing is, I'm signing off like on, this document to the city saying that I'm going to be doing site review, but I never end up doing site review sometimes. And so that's what's upsetting. So I've now changed that. So, at the onset, I have to say, like, I am doing site review. If you don't like it, then you have to sign a paper saying that you do not want me to do site review.
You're going to take
and then I'm taking that to the city. Yeah, I'm not going to take any liability.
Of course.
So, and that I learned recently, actually. So, not from something that happened, but from the OAA conference. Yeah. Anyway, so that's it. So that's that kind of builder. And then I have the builders that I usually work with and that I like to give them work are the ones that, call me when they need me. And even when they don't need me, I'm able to come over and say, I'm doing a run through, meet me on site.
Yeah. That's what it's supposed to be. I mean, the reality of the way that the industry can work and rise can be largely broken.
Yeah.
But the concept of trying to work towards the same common goal without you having to be the advocate for the client, right? Where
that's horrible.
Where both sides that are involved see the same thing.
Yeah.
And that is they want to see a good project come to fruition.
Yeah.
For the correct amount of money to be spent to hit that vision.
Right.
It's
so important because first of all, it's your baby.
Yeah.
And also, people don't understand architecture is for people, right? Like you're designing something. As an architect, you have the responsibility to advocate for, your client and for making their experience in their living space good, right? They need to feel good. Mm-hmm. If it's a restaurant, if it's a house, if it's a school, like the whole point of architecture is to make the person that inhabits it feel good. That's it. It's really like comes down to that. So, things like small things that can screw up, the people don't even get it, but they don't understand why this doesn't feel good. Mm-hmm. Like I've had a client that wasn't a client. I gave them a proposal and they didn't take me. They took a friend who's an architect and they came back to me about a year later, all of a sudden I hear from them and they were like, oh, we need your help. And I'm like, what happened? Well, we're not happy with how it's coming out, the elevations or whatever. So I said, okay, send me the drawings. Let me see. So I see the drawings and I see the progression of what happened. And then I see what they built and they don't match the architect's drawings. Like the architect's intentions were good. Like they did a good job.
Mm-hmm.
It's you that screwed up, right? Or your builder or whoever you brought in.
Yeah.
And so now I'm here, saying, okay, I think you should, go back to your architect and try to get some sort of, different detail and resolution, because now none of the windows are lining up. It was just ridiculous. But like here I am trying to mediate,
Something has nothing to do with you.
It has nothing to do with me, but it doesn't also have to do with my colleague.
Yeah.
Yeah. Architects are in general, they're pretty good at their job.
Yeah.
And you hire an architect in order to get it done the right way, all the way to the end, not just like for permit. And that's I think the difference between hiring an architect and hiring just a technician to just do the drawings and cut it in for permit.
Yeah.
That's a big difference. Yeah. There's such a big difference between a draftsperson and an architect. And I'll forget about just like even regulatory and, our insurance and all of that.
Yeah.
There is a reason.
Yeah, for sure there is.
So, yeah.
I built my house in 8 months. Yeah, I can see that.
That's really good timing. Where was it? And how big was your house?
I can see that because the concrete hasn't dried yet.
It's cracking everywhere. Oh my gosh.
Why is your window outside? Why isn't it still in the frame?
Oh my God. I came to a site once.
Everything's settled.
The garage window was much lower than the garage. Nothing lined up in the garage. And it was like a garage cabana kind of thing. And I was like, what happened here? It goes, oh, we just bought something that was ready made and threw it on the building. I was like, this is why they didn't call me.
Yeah. I mean, in most cases, those types of situations are much better off to not have landed.
No, you know what? But these are okay. So the last house that happened to, it was an incredible client. It's like, I love them, but nobody called me to even run through the house when it was finished. So here I am. It was on my birthday, actually. I'm on the way to my birthday, which I did like at a bowling alley with a bunch of friends. I was like, can you do me a favor? Can we just like drive by this one street? Because I haven't seen this house in a while. I just want to see where it's at. Yep. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe now they painted it, it was like a reno edition. And here I am. I drive by and there's a moving truck in front of the house. And I literally was like, what? They're moving in now? Nobody told me.
Right.
And so I get out of the car and I brush in and I'm like, hey guys, like, what's happening? and she's like, oh my God, this house is great and we're so happy and da-da-da. And we're like, excuse the mess, we're just moving in. I'm like, I know, I can see that. And so that was it. It was just like, it was awful for me. It was an awful feeling because I was like, this is not how it should be done.
So disconnected.
Yeah, that's really disconnected. Like, and then I have builders who actually make like, whole, like it's a party, you know what I mean? Like an open, like a sort of like end of
an opening. Yeah.
Yeah. We drink champagne, we toast everyone and whatever. And it's a really nice feeling.
Yeah.
So those are the few different types of builders, right?
Yeah.
Sad.
I mean, everyone in some ways is fulfilling the requirement they need to fulfill in the market. There are people out there, there are clients out there that don't want to believe something is going to cost what it's going to cost. And so they hire someone that tells them what they want to hear.
Right.
They set themselves up for it and they get what they get.
Yeah. And
the reality is like, you're not going to do that with someone that's going to go manage your money. Right.
It's so much money to spend.
It's and that's what's something that, what I've always been so interested and intrigued in is, who the client is. It's like, well, who are you hiring to manage your money? Mm-hmm. Oh, if you don't have anyone managing your money, okay, that's fine. That's different. But did you go with someone who manages your money because you took a tab off of a piece of paper that was taped up to the stop sign?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. No, I doubt it.
Right.
And most of my clients actually are in finance. So they really know how to manage money.
Right.
Right.
So if
yet they, don't skimp on them, the important stuff. Trust me, you need me. You need me till the very end.
Yeah.
And it'll be worth it because it's really not a lot. Anyway, what can I tell you?
feel like this is the episode that we need to air to the general public.
I forgot that we're on a podcast, actually. I'm just like, I literally forgot about this microphone in front of my face.
That's what this is.
Okay. I'm like just shooting shit with you. Okay.
That's exactly when we talked about doing this podcast.
Yeah.
I was joking about it with Bruce, and Bruce is like, well, the only thing that's going to change really is there's going to be a microphone in front of your face.
Yeah.
He's like, other than that, the conversations you have with everyone, they're just going to pretty much be the same.
Absolutely.
The hard part is filtering out some of the things that you really want to say.
Right.
But you can't.
Right.
So yeah, I'm going to say thank you for joining me. It has been a lot of fun. We've traveled the world. Forward and back.
I'm lucky. No, I'm lucky that I've had all that experience.
Well, I was lucky.
And I'm grateful for every single person I worked for and every single person I'm ever touched in my life.
But you're not as lucky as your kids, because your kids have seen twice as much of the world as you have.
I know, right? I got to do something about that.
Thank you for taking time out of the day. Thank you for being as open as you have been. Limor came in today. You had a bit of a nagging cough.
Yeah.
And you made it through.
I
you
did.
persevered.
I did.
Thank you for enduring.
Watch me hack away now.
But honestly, thank you. I'm thrilled to know you.
Same.
I appreciate you as a person.
Thank you.
And thank you for being as open with some of the dialogue that we have had. And I hope that when this does come out, that you have the wherewithal to be able to listen to it, because I know that some people don't want to listen to themselves.
It's going to be tough. I listened to all your podcasts, but this one will be tough.
And I'm going to say this as we close out here. There is a few ways. Obviously, you found a way to listen to this. Make sure that you go and give it a rating. And if there's a scale that is somewhere between 1 and 5, the preference would be to get the 5 stars. 4 is not enough. That leaves room for the extra 1. I would like that extra 1.
Excellent.
It helps with the overall visibility. So please make sure that you're doing that. There's a Instagram account where you're going to be able to see some of the projects that Limor chooses to want to share of her work. And I'll also be able to, you'll see some of the key quotes that I took away from this, potentially some of the fun ones. So make sure that you follow Behind the Build on Instagram. And if you have any people out there that you think I should reach out to, I don't say it often, but like, let me know, because I make cold calls to people all the time. And they're like, why are you calling me? Like, I have a podcast. If you have stuff, if you want to, you can always leave a comment and suggest someone within some of the platforms that exist in the way you're listening to this. So all that said, thank you for listening. Limor, thank you for joining.
Thank you. Pleasure.